That's all right. We don't mind. It is the appointed hour and the appointed time, and I'd like to call this meeting of the April 7th Fremont County Planning Commission to order. If you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for that. We do have an agenda in front of us, and hopefully you've had a chance to look at that. And any changes or amendments to the agenda?
Move for approval.
Roll call, thank you very much. We will do a roll call first. I'll hold your motion in abeyance. So this is April, and I am here. John Hamrick, John Carper is here, Rudel Mergelman is here, and Travis Payne is here. So we're all present. Well, all of us who are present are accounted for. How about that? Okay, so now I have a motion to approve the agenda.
Second?
Motion and a second. John, you want to start us off? So any discussion?
You mean on
No.
the agenda? We're talking about the agenda.
Approval of the agenda.
That's my motion to approve.
And so I'm asking for a vote.
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, we also have minutes from our January 6th, 26th Planning Commission meeting. Any comments on the minutes? Changes? And I'm open to a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Thank you. Rudel, you want to start us?
Aye.
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 So that has been approved. I don't believe we have any unfinished business in front of us. And with that, we'll move into our new business, which is SRU 26-001 Legacy Metal Fabrication Facility. And maybe we have a presentation by the,
Yeah, if possible, if they do it, and then I'll follow up.
okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Rob Brown. I'm with Fremont Economic Development Corporation. Thank you very much to the esteemed commissioners, and we're here to talk about a project today by Legacy Metal. The project is located near Highway 67 and Highway 50, and I wanted to just give you some brief history of that particular site. There's been a number of projects over the years. More than 20 years ago, FEDC worked with the local community on a project there to bring a Walmart distribution facility to that particular site. And at the time, the property was owned by Vern Estes of Estes Rockets fame. And that project made it almost to the finish line, and then Walmart picked Pueblo to build their facility. So that's a kind of a constant companion of ours here in the community is having projects that we work on and then they ultimately end up in Pueblo. So that's kind of a popular situation. But in this particular situation, I think we have some different advantages. About 2018, the project resurrected itself, and we worked on a project along with a feasibility study that was funded by the USDA. And the feasibility said, boy, this would be a great place for a commercial business park, standing commercial buildings there and bring people in from outside the community. We almost got to the finish line, had this little problem called a pandemic, and that project stalled out. But it was missing the same thing the Walmart project was missing, which was a business, a anchor tenant, somebody that was there that had the vision and the capability to put a project there and create the momentum that the project needs. So I'm very proud to say today that we have exactly that in Legacy Metal. They've been in our community, they've been successful in our community, they've been producing jobs and products and generating wealth from outside our community and bringing it in and creating the ultimate, what we refer to as primary jobs. So these are jobs that are not dependent on the service industry, they're not dependent on tourism, they're there because we have people with actual skills that they can leverage on behalf of the community. So it's a very solid project. They've thought it through very well. We've been working with them very closely, and we have expanded interest beyond just their project, including a project that we're looking at with other outside funders. So this is kind of a catalyst project that will get us kind of to the first step. So I want to introduce Jerry Martin, and he's going to talk to us about the details of the project.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I just have a quick statement I'd like to read for you guys. My name is Jerry Martin. I'm here on behalf of Legacy Metal. Founded by brothers Enos and Noah Miller, Legacy Metal Center is a Colorado-based company established in 2020. We specialize in metal roofing, siding, and trim products, as well as also provide metal building packages. We're a small but growing business, and this new build represents an important step forward for our company. The new 61,000 square foot building on our 37-acre site is designed to support the next stage of our growth. While the more than 100 acres that we have acquired reflect our long-term commitment to this area. Today, Legacy Metal Center employs 22 people. One of the most important parts of this project is the opportunity for us to bring jobs to the area as we continue to grow. We see this as more than a building project. We see it as an investment in our business, in future employment, and in long-term economic strength of the community. As a local business grows, the impact reaches beyond its own walls. Growth creates opportunity not only for our team, but also for contractors, suppliers, service providers, and other local businesses. We believe this project will help support that kind of positive momentum here. At Legacy Metal, we believe in doing business the right way. We're committed to quality service and being a good neighbor in the community. We want this facility to reflect those values and support responsible long-term growth. We are proud to invest in the community, expand our operations here, and create meaningful opportunities for local workers and families. Thank you for your time and consideration. We respectfully ask for your support.
Thank you. Commissioners, I suggest we hear from staff now.
Hello, everyone. So here we have SRU 26-001, Legacy Metals for Fabrication and Sales Facility. The purpose, the subject project proposes to improve the currently vacant land with a 61,316 square foot building that will contain offices, a conference room, a break room, and a metal fabrication shop and material storage area. The proposed facility will be a fabrication and sales facility for metal panels, siding, roofs, and similar products. The facility will be open Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. in winter and 4:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. for the rest of the year, with a change of operating hours occurring with daylight savings time changes. The facility is expected to have 25 employees and 10 to 20 customers per day. On average, the facility will receive 3 deliveries per week from 18-wheelers. Additionally, the facility will send out 2 of its own delivery trucks each morning that will return later in the evening. Roll form machines, forklift operation, and loading operations will all take place within the building and will not create significant noise or vibration outside of the building footprint. The location is going to be at 130 County Road 67 in Penrose, Colorado. Let's see here. Since this application was submitted, the applicant has managed to get an address placed on the parcel. So that's a little bit of a change. Background and associated cases. The lot is a 37.18 acre lot zone business and is currently vacant with 0% lot coverage. Again, with this special reviews permit, if approved, we'll have a 61,316 square foot building, and that would be a proposed lot coverage of 3.8%, significantly under what's allowed for that zone district. Operation, the requested hours of operation are Monday through Friday. During daylight savings time, 6:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., and during standard time, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. They anticipate having 25 employees. Customers will range between 10 and 20 customers per day, and the deliveries will be approximately 3 times per week. The land is zoned business. To the north, it's residential 3 and vacant. To the east, it's zoned residential 3, and that land is vacant. To the south, across Highway 50, is an industrial park, which is very active. And to the west, it's zoned business, and that land is vacant. Estimated traffic count per day is going to be 146 trips, and that factors employees leaving and returning for lunch. Number of access points will be 1. For water, they're going to be using a cistern with bulk water delivery. Sanitation will be OWTS, electric, Black Hills Energy. Refuse will be Twin Enviro. And propane will be provided. For lighting, dusk to dawn floodlights for security purposes are proposed outside of the building. Special care will be taken by the owner to ensure floodlights do not illuminate areas off of the property, especially to the south side, which is Highway 50. Parking loading areas are not proposed to be lit, as business hours will correlate with daylight hours. However, security floodlights are proposed for off hours and would provide adequate lighting to the parking loading areas if needed. Parking, since the vast majority of the proposed building will be fabrication equipment and metal storage, a variance from this section is being requested. It is proposed to provide 1 parking space for the maximum number of employees at any given time, 25, plus 10 standard customer spaces. It's also proposed to include 2 ADA spaces, both van accessible. Customer and delivery truck loading, offloading will occur on the north side of the fabrication shop area. So they're located in the Florence Fire Protection District. Access is going to be off of County Road 67, and we've received no public comments or concerns. Agency comments, staff requested comments from various review agencies. Staff has incorporated comments received to date, either entirety or part. FCDOT has requested the driveway access will need to be hard surface to match the existing grade to protect county hard surfacing and shouldering. An annual road impact fee of $478.24 to be reviewed annually, to be updated with cost with market prices. And roads built within the property will not be maintained by the county. Fremont Engineer, they had received the original drainage and provided comment. We've since received an updated drainage, but we have not received comment back from our engineer. So these are a little updated. So we think the county engineer's comments will be addressed, but we're going to wait for his comment to fully hear on that. From the building department, The OWTS design appears to be large enough to accommodate this facility, and the department reserves the right to review the OWTS system in a more realistic environment once plans for this project are submitted. For the fire protection plan, and a fire protection district approved the size of the cistern based on the proposed reception and office area. The applicant has requested 2 waivers. So per section 5.05 of the Fremont County Zoning Code, the proposed use of the site most nearly aligns with industrial use category for fabricating. Per this section, the minimum number of spaces required is greater than 1 per 300 square feet of floor area, or 1 per employee for maximum shift. So our regs right now under this classification would require 205 parking spaces for 35 people on site on average. It's kind of a big pull when consider surfacing an area that it would take up. And they're also requesting a waiver for screening. The applicant would like to request a variance for the screening requirements along the north and east property lines. The justification for this variance is the property to the north is currently vacant rangeland. And additionally, the applicant owns the parcels east. So granting this variance would allow the applicant more flexibility in further subdividing their property without risk of having to remove newly constructed fencing or trees or screening. So for staff recommendations, having found the application is in compliance with the requirements of the Fremont County zoning resolution, staff recommends approval of the special use permit application with the following contingencies or conditions. So waiver number 1 for parking. Staff supports this waiver. Regulations would have required 205 standard spaces and 11 ADA for this square footage. The applicant's proposed employee customer parking spaces seem adequate, and they have an overflow parking area which is detailed on the site plan that can handle an additional 33 spaces. So they do have an overflow area, so we support the parking waiver. And for screening, staff finds this waiver from Fremont County Zoning Resolution Section 5.04. It requires screening between commercial or industrial uses and agricultural or residential zoning or uses. This business is 796 feet from the east property line and approximately 431 feet from the north property line. We kind of feel screening would have little to no effect to screen the businesses at these distances. For contingencies, we have compliance with the Fremont County engineer recommendations. We just have this in there because we're waiting for a comment from the engineer. And then we had a letter of approval from FAA case ID 2026, Alpha November Mike, 1189, Oscar Echo. And we received a notice of proposed construction or alteration, and the FAA's status was determined. And their status is that there is no hazard with this building going in that place, and we just received that this morning, which is why everything is not updated. So with that being said, we support this project.
Thank you very much for that report. Commissioners, questions for staff or the applicant?
I only have one. How far down the road, the highway is this from the next operation that was in here a while ago?
So this one fronts on Highway 50 and 67.
Yeah, Highway 50 from this proposed site to the next one that's up there that's already going.
The travel trailer parking campground farther up the road, or
You're
which
thinking of,
project?
Explosive.
The explosives, the construction explosives?
Yeah.
Place?
Ooh.
It's pretty good clip.
Yeah, it's pretty good. There's a large draw in between them. So when you're going on
Yeah,
down the highway,
I just couldn't.
it's pretty good distance. I don't have it off the top of my head though.
Zero questions, just a comment of, yeah, fully support. Seems like a very good project. Seems like you guys have done some really good due diligence and making a good plan, so great job.
I do have a couple of questions, some for my own edification and perhaps some to make sure we all know who's on first. But I was looking at the hazardous materials storage, and it's proposed that there be a 55-gallon drum of oil in a containment area. Is that hydraulic oil for some of the equipment, or?
Correct.
And if you would, please come up to the,
Sorry.
thank you,
Correct, it would be for forklifts.
forklifts.
Mainly, the machinery doesn't really use a bunch of hydraulic oil, so,
Except when it breaks, right?
yeah.
Right? Okay, thank you for that. I do have another question
Sure.
for you. So you expect to have trucks that deliver your product, and you expect to use forklifts in the management of your raw materials, so to speak. Where will they be fueled?
They're propane,
They're propane. The forklifts are propane.
correct.
So you have a propane tank on site. Will you be filling the propane, or will that be a service by the propane?
It'll be a service. Yeah, they take, I don't know what gallons it is, a 20-gallon tank? What are the cylinders? I'm sure you've seen them.
Sure.
So we have right now a service that comes, we have a cage that those are particular ones are there for the forklift drivers can just go get a tank as they run out and re-add it. But we will be running off of propane and have propane tanks on site.
Okay?
But we don't look to fill our own forklift tanks ourselves.
Okay, great. Just asking, that's for kind of my information. But I do have something, a couple of questions here about stormwater. There, in your stormwater plan or water management plan, there's several inspections called for. And so this is a question probably that needs to be answered for the commissioners, the Fremont County Commissioners. And the question is, if they include that plan in this submittal, does that put the enforcement burden on your department? And because there are requirements in the plan for different inspections and things like that. And the reason I ask is because all those are really good engineering practices, best practices for managing those types of facilities. To commit to doing those inspections can take a lot require a lot of record keeping, especially if it's going to be inspected. And so my question is intended to determine whether the final approval should include that plan or not. Because if it's not required, if it's just a voluntary thing on your part, if we, what we're reviewing is what you've submitted, and you've submitted these, what I would call procedures, rather than really commitments that we would expect to be enforced by our department here. And so,
Someone supplied me with the inspection sheets. So I've read those and reviewed them, knowing that we are taking on paperwork.
okay,
We do have a full-time maintenance guy that takes care, and this would just be one more thing that got put on his plate.
I understand. It does require paperwork, and paperwork there's always a chance for a bobble when you're, filling out paperwork. Heaven knows I've been, hoist on that petard a couple of times, but.
So, I am waiting for the revised comments from the engineer. And that's certainly something I can discuss with him. Normally what we would have to do, since me or my staff wouldn't be, I don't know if I want to say qualified, but to go out and look at an engineered structure to
Right.
make sure it's operating. That's not necessarily our wheelhouse, but a lot of times we could request that of the applicant to have their person certify that's still as designed. But I will definitely talk to our engineer and kind of see what he thinks of it.
Yeah, because if you didn't do it, then some county department would necessarily have to, I would think.
My civil engineer's here that designed it, if you want him to speak to it.
Well, I've heard everything I would know, need to know. And I would point out that your annual inspection form does not require certification, just verification.
Yep.
And so it's really a level below regulatory requirements. And but that probably needs to be settled to make sure that we're all on first and everyone knows who has responsibility for what and all that kind of stuff, and what you can expect in the future, whether you expect to pull those records for an inspection or not.
Okay.
And because we are waiting for those updated comments, that's why we had it on as a contingency, because we know that that still needs to be satisfied.
Okay,
Yep.
I'm good with all that.
I did get ahead of myself when I wrapped up my staff report, though.
Yes.
I realized I told you how we support the project, how we support the waivers, and what the contingencies were, but I don't believe I mentioned what the conditions were. So,
Yeah, go ahead.
did I?
I thought it was the
Or did I blink
approval
it?
of the two waivers, the parking and the screening.
Conditions. Yeah, so there's
Yeah.
two conditions, and that's just to comply with FCDOT, which is the hard surfacing of the driveway at the.
Oh, thank you.
To match existing grade at County Road 67, and that annual roadway impact fee. So
They were included in the packet. and so-
yes, they're absolutely on the staff report. I think I just forgot to mention those. I got ahead of myself.
Okay,
And you guys are good with that?
great. Questions, comments by commissioners? Then I'm open to a motion.
I'll move for approval of SRU 26-001 Legacy Metal Fabrication Facility with the conditions
And the waivers?
and the waivers,
And the contingencies.
And the
as presented.
All right, that's the easiest way, really.
I will second
We
that.
have a motion and a second. Any further comment or discussion? John?
Aye.
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 Congratulations, and from our perspective, you're off and running. There's a little bit more of the bureaucratic wheel that needs to turn here, but I think that's not a problem. And with no further business coming before us, we're adjourned.